Anthony, a Flag to Remember Foundation. I don't know if Chris is prepped. Do you have the photo for the event that we shared? Probably not. He'll get up there in a second. So we've had Anthony on the show before. He does tremendous stuff. He walks a really long way and then puts a flag that has, and he'll explain it a lot better than we do. But I really was intrigued by it the first time I saw it. And the Facebook algorithm the last couple of weeks has been showing a lot of his stuff. And he's got a lot of things going on and a lot of great things going on. So I've been seeing it. And so I messaged him. I'm like, hey, man, you got new stuff coming up? Let's see if we can help this out and help him raise some money for what he's doing. So if you are watching and you're able to help, this is he probably can't talk too much about it, but it has nothing to do with his active duty status. But he is active duty Army, and he decided to get off and, as we say, put some skin in the game and do something to help remember our fallen brothers. So this is the flyer he has recently. So Anthony, welcome back to the Trash Talk Hour, the Dumpster Fire. Tell us what you got going on and how we can all help.
I'll start by saying, yeah, I mean, this is awesome. I'm glad to be on here. I think last time we all met was 2021, and that was when this all started. I had not even at that point seen one of my flags completed, so I didn't even know what it looked like. I was doing the 222-mile ruck march as well, and I was about to get ready to do my first dedication of a flag. So that was where it all began, I guess you could say, and I think it's been pretty good. For those of you who don't know what I do, military and first responders, their families, when they lose their person, they will register their name with us. And then throughout the year, I'm finding different locations with high foot traffic that would honor them best. And we build these memorial flags with their sewn uniform name tapes that they wore in service. And we display them permanently, and they're all over the country. So it's been a wild ride. I will say that, see, it says 2025 now. The first couple of years was a hard learning lesson, a lot of stuff, trying to figure out how to run a foundation while still being active duty. But we've gotten into some airports now, distilleries, breweries, stadiums, VFWs. So we're really getting out there as far as locations go. And we've got about 15 flags right now. So it's going really well. I will say, though, there's a couple you guys let me know if you have questions or anything like that, but just a couple points I wanted to hit on while I was on here. So over the last few years, I did learn a couple lessons that might be able to be applied to anyone listening maybe. So 2021, I started all this, and then in 2023, I kind of hit a real downward spiral and dealing with a lot of mental health stuff. And so what was interesting about that is I do this all day, every day. So when I'm not working, I'm, honoring those and raising awareness to suicide and all those stuff. But, but I was really in a bad place. And luckily I've got a great tribe of people that, they're there to help me out through this process and building these flags. And I'm gone 200 days out of the year for work. So, they pick up a lot of the slack that I can't do when I'm gone. But I was able to turn on the smile for most of events. I was there for the events. I laughed when everyone else laughed, and but none of them really knew that I was struggling pretty hard. So I took a whole year off after some stuff happened, and so my flags and everything just kind of paused. I didn't even give any warning. Obviously, I just kind of stopped. And so I always look, when I figured you guys might ask, well, how many flags do you have out? Only 15. I don't really consider that to be a lot for how long.
Only 15. How far was that last march you just did?
222 miles.
Yeah, 222 miles.
So only 15. Yeah.
One is amazing. 20 miles.
Yeah. But I mean, it was good. So I mean, but yeah, that year kind of that just disappeared, and it kind of really was hard to get back up and going again. But what I learned from that is you really got to, as there's a lot of responsibility. I know we don't want to put all the responsibility on people that are going through depression, suicide, all those dark things that people go down. I know we put a lot of pressure on the friends and family to kind of notice the signs. But if you're someone, if someone's really doesn't want anyone to know, and they're good at hiding their stuff, they won't know. So it is a little bit of responsibility if you're aware of yourself going down that spiral. leaning on, I really had to dig deep and learn who was on my side and how I can use them to my advantage. And, once I took that step and like outed myself, essentially, it got a lot better. And it was a really cool moment to experience it because, it's like practice what you preach. And I felt like a hypocrite the whole time. I was like, practice. I was voicing and being the voice for the voiceless, of course, the ones that aren't here anymore. But, you got to kind of like listen to yourself sometimes. So that was, I say all that to say that, it's been a rough 5 years, but it's been really good. And so now, we're doing new things. We've got flags going into, I just got a call from the Steelers stadium. So might be doing something at their stadium. So it's good.
Very nice.
That's awesome. We talk about mental health a lot on the show. And you said something right there about hypocrite. You're 100%, you weren't being one. All right. You were a human being. And I actually get really triggered by this a lot because we have, people come on here and tell their recovery stories all the time. And we're a big fan of Ben Owen, who says that if you should recover loudly so that other people can, follow, right? Or maybe ask, find out, do it right. So now let's just say somebody is in recovery, or somebody says, hey, you shouldn't feel this way, or you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't drink so much, you shouldn't watch so much of this, you shouldn't, whatever, pick a vice, right? And then if I go off and do the same thing 3 weeks later because I make a mistake, it doesn't make me a hypocrite. But if I notice you doing something destructive, and I should say something about it. I'm my brother's keeper. If I see Dave doing something destructive, I should say something to him. Even if I'm going to do the same damn thing tomorrow. Right? And I hope somebody tomorrow says, hey, chill. Right? Like, you stop. Right? Like, this not going the right way. Again, the word hypocrite is thrown out so easily. You weren't being one, my man. You were being a human being, right? And you're going to go down your paths. And you brought up something else. And I know again, it's the verbiage, the way it's said. Like, who can I use? Who around me in my circle is positive? Who can I use? Right? And I'll say this for everybody else listening. You might not be that person for everybody, but I guarantee you, there's somebody in your circle where you're that person. Or you're that person that somebody wants to use you to get better. So be that person that can be approachable. And again, you're not a hypocrite if you're not that person for that situation, right? It's just maybe not at that time. But explain the process of how these flags get done. How do people donate? How do people help you get it to where it's going? Like, just kind of give the overall picture from beginning to end of one flag.
Yeah. So, like I said, so when someone passes away, so we have three aspects to our flag. It's name donors and the flag hosts, which are the ones that display the flags indefinitely. And then it's the impact of the families that carry it on throughout the year. So when you lose someone, you register a name. We build a registry, basically. I've got about 600 names of military and first responders. Their cause of death, the name that they won on their actual uniform name tape that they wore in service. And then throughout the year, as I find these locations, I go to I basically tell them what we're doing and what we're trying to have the flag displayed. And if the flag host is open to it and able to put the donation together to help cover the cost of it, we'll sew all the names on, we'll get it framed. A lot of them are framed, and we'll post it up there. And the cool thing about this is what makes this, I like to focus on this part because, when I started this, it was all about like just honoring the fallen. But I learned a lesson that was kind of interesting. I didn't know existed until I saw this all the way through. As I started to see flags being completed and talking to the families, I realized that yes, we're doing this to raise awareness, but we're also, and we're honoring the fallen, but this is really helpful to a lot of the families because a lot of the families, the gold stars, the blue stars, they have this forever mindset that if they stop saying the person's name, their memory's gone. And I mean, it's not always logical, of course, and, you know, people are not going to forget about their loved ones and their families and friends, but they want to hear that. They want that name to be said. So this is kind of all, these flags are visual reminders to the families that we're still a grateful nation. You know, we still remember their names. And so that's an impact that I didn't expect necessarily, or I didn't exactly know was going to come out of all this. And so I'm seeing a lot more of that, which just kind of pushes everything and drives it in the full force. So it's really awesome. And so, yeah, so when it comes to helping out, honestly, so there's three things that I always ask people for help for. And donations are great, but believe it or not, it's not the most important thing all the time. So for me, I'm trying to get in front of any organizations that have people who've lost somebody. I just want to get in front of those, you know, blast my face all over in my mission, all over that organization, and let me tell them to, hey, here's how you register a name. It's free. Just go on there and register, because I want this registry to get as many names as possible because they're out there. I don't want more people to pass away, but I want my awareness to what we're doing to be out there so we can honor more. And then so that's getting in front of people who have names to donate. That's a big one. Second one is anyone who has access to a relationship with a business or an organization that would be wanting to have a flag like mine displayed in their establishment, their building, their venue. And that's the hardest part for me is getting to a decision maker. So a lot of times, especially out of state, everyone wants, I get emails, can you get it in Colorado? Can you get it here? And all I can do is really just Google and then like email, but my stuff will go to spam all the time. I just like a donor or someone asking for money. So a lot of times it's like, if you know any business, a brewery, a distillery, anything, and you have a decision maker that you could introduce me to, like give me the handshake over, then I can do the rest. It's just, that's the biggest thing. And so getting in front of those and cutting through the red tape. So that would be the second.
I just shot Ryan a text message. I guarantee he would put at least one up in his Vail tasting room in Colorado, if not one at the distillery as well.
For Tent Mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just shot him that. And I have a question for you as well. You said you had, 600 names in your database right now?
Probably about 500 or 600.
Okay. How many go on a flag usually?
So it depends on the size. We have 3 sizes. And honestly, the bigger the flag gets, the names don't really change a whole lot, but it's 73 names, 200 names, and like 224 names. So the biggest flag we got is a 9-line headquarters, and it's like a 5-foot by 8-foot flag.
Okay. But
it's bigger than it is, but the names are about 224.
Okay. If you do a
Vietnam
video,
veterans do it too as well?
Yeah. So the big thing everyone always asks, like, who qualifies? It doesn't matter how they pass. If they served, they sacrificed. If they sacrificed, they served. So whether they died in service, out of service, doesn't matter as long as they served. So, and anyone, that served.
So you wanted to get more names on this. If you were to do a video screen capture of how to put the names on there, and I'm down to help you out with this. We can talk about it offline.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll post it everywhere. We'll post it
that
on
would be
our
very
socials. I mean, I've got your website up. We could do a live demo right now if you wanted.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
It's up to you guys. But if you don't mind, let me just quickly get the last thing before I forget it. As far as what we're doing, so one of the other things we're doing, we just started this year. So this year's going off. We're doing really good. We're getting a lot of people reaching out to me. So this is good. So we're doing 50 flags, 50 states this year. So I'm doing a fundraising campaign where I'm looking for 10 sponsors, and they're going to be lifetime sponsors, and they are a business, an organization, or an individual person on behalf of the business. But 10 sponsors that will donate $3,000, and what that comes with is basically each sponsor is providing us 5 flags with their donation, and we're going to put one. I'm basically going through every state, and I'm finding locations in every single state this year. And as I get a new sponsor come in out of those 10 sponsors, we're just pushing them out, and we want to officially be nationwide by the end of the year. So we've got about 7 sponsors left. And so if anyone has, and a lot of the times as I'm going to go through looking for flag hosts, sometimes I'll say, hey, you're already getting a flag. Do you want to just go ahead and be one of our national sponsors? And it's a one-time donation. And we will forever, everything we do, we tag these sponsors in everything from now on because they were part of the foundation that got us nationwide. So it's something I'm trying out, but it's being received pretty well. We just need more sponsors or 7 more sponsors. So that's the other thing. But yeah.
Yeah, well, let us know anytime you have an advertisement go out. Of course, we'll help you with it and put it on our platforms. I'm writing down a few people I'm going to call for certain states. I know Chris has already talked about Colorado and 10th Mountain. That should be pretty easy, actually. That one.
Yeah. Are you in Virginia already?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I've got pending calls, but I've got like interactions, but nothing solidified yet.
I've got something.
Maybe Pinnacle wants to do Arizona. I don't know. Or they're not Pinnacle anymore, are they? Dave?
No, they're not. But they'll do it. I guarantee you they would.
Yeah.
I
have somebody in Virginia I'll speak to on your behalf as well. He's another distillery owner, Marine veteran. They've got this.
Mom, if you're still watching, and Guy, I'm sure you're watching, the country club out there could use something like this as well.
Yeah.
And since Guy is in charge of the budget over there, just saying.
Yeah, Guy.
This might be a thing.
We got 2 guys now. We got 2 guys.
We've got Guy and
not
a
just
guy.
a guy. We got 2 guys.
Yeah.
But honestly, that seriously is like people think, I mean, donations are great and they will be important and relevant for sure to actually pull everything off. But you'd be surprised. It's the hardest part is just getting yeses through the red tape of every state.
That's sales, baby. You gotta always be closing. ABCs. You gotta find that decision maker.
Yeah.
Gosh, you got me thinking about something. Man. You got me thinking about something. I want to kind of circle back to it. It's, I was talking to a good friend of mine, and we were talking about how it's really, really good to be busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a lot of fun to be busy. It means you're doing stuff, you're working. And then it also reminded me of, like I said, I like to, take a break, sit down, play some Fortnite, do whatever. But eventually I got too many things running through my head that I got to go accomplish. Like, we got to go get this done. Got to do something. And I hit a low a few times where it's like, I need to take my phone. I need to go put it in that box over there. I need to go, it gets heavy. And when you're doing something like you're doing, I'm going to let you answer this before I have to give my opinion because it's you. It's your, if you don't want to share it, then don't. But if you do, what do you think contributed to you getting to that low point? I know it's way more than one thing because I always talk about it's not linear. But what was that weight? What do you think it was?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know the biggest chunk of it is I've always been the life of the party everywhere since I was a kid. So as you start to experience real life trauma things and you start to sense yourself, like you start feeling less like the self that everybody remembers you to be. You start feeling a little bit like an alien. And then you go back home and you're around people that can't relate to some of the things. And so you just kind of feel like a wallflower. I never thought I would be that socially awkward. And I just find myself in those socially awkward situations. And I started to just kind of like separate myself more and more. And then I had kind of felt this pressure to always be the entertainer or the positive light in everyone else. I'm always helping everyone else, but really just staying busy doing that, not ever really working out what I got going on. So that was quickly, and that just kind of, enough of it happens long enough. You just kind of like, close the door for a little bit and just got to figure it out.
And real quick before Nick goes, and I think this is like the message that we always present to everybody and we tell everybody, you identified that there was an issue going on with yourself, right? And then you said, I need to seek help and I need to do something, and a lot of people are just afraid of taking that step. And then you even mentioned you're doing a lot better now, right? Like this is our therapy, but I'll openly say that I've gone to counseling. Like if you're out there and struggling, just go get help. Like that's the one thing that I don't understand how to like combat that, because a lot of, especially individuals that are still serving, they're worried about their career, which I understand, but like I was saying in my opening message, like you're more of a man and a warrior if you say something needs to give. I need help. So
well, I
could out there watching. Yeah,
I can actually speak to what you're saying. So for me, I was always one of those too. My job is super clearance heavy, and so it's like,
Yeah.
what is that going to, what's that going to do? But when I went after this whole spiral, I went down and I started a new job that was just as important. I had just took the leap of faith and I went through the official Army channels to see what was going to happen. I mean, I did it slowly and I baby stepped and I was careful about how I said things because I wanted to make sure I was not just jumping all into something that was going to backfire. So I took a chance and I went through behavioral health voluntarily, talked to the guy. I didn't even really like the situation. I wasn't a big fan of the person I was talking to, but I was just going through the motions to kind of like see what's this process look like and what's the impact. And I used it more as a teaching point. I asked him like, what can I say? What can I not say? And he was upfront about that. But at the end of the day, when I realized I was liking the idea of what I was doing, just not the person I was talking to, I talked to my PCM and all she said is all you got to do is go do your research on somebody off post that you would feel more comfortable with. Go shop around. And if you find someone off post, we'll put in the referral and we'll put you right off post. And that's exactly what my PCM did. And now I have a person off post that's not really military affiliated. They just TRICARE sends me over. I got 40 sessions and I can re-up whenever I want. And it's great.
And to that real quick, because I know times have changed, right? Like I always bring up this story back in 2010 when it was, PHA or whatever the one that we did after deployments and stuff where you're just like, no, and then 2010 was the first time where I felt like something was off after our second deployment, which was really zero action, but I knew something was going on. And I went to mental health at Fort Liberty, back then Bragg, and they were going to put me into the program, but then like the Sergeant First Class board was coming up and she advised to maybe just get a couple of counseling sessions. This is now back in 2010, right? Which I then took, and sadly that probably happened to tons of soldiers, and then maybe, the worst case scenario happened and they ended up committing suicide because they were scared of their career. But what I've seen on Veteran Trash Talk, as we've interviewed pilots even, like, did that affect you in any way career-wise? Like, I do feel like the DoD is getting better. I do feel like soldiers are getting taken care of a little bit more than they were back then compared to where it's now. I don't know if you can really talk about that, but like for somebody who's active duty and serving that's watching this right now and he's going through some stuff, like, does it affect your... I would DoD look like right now? Like,
yeah, I mean, I walked in. The first thing I wanted to eliminate that floating in my head the whole time. To give it an honest effort, I started off the conversation, and I recommend anyone do that. Be as transparent as possible and say, you make an appointment, behavioral health is going to take you, and you go in there and just say, hey, this is my concern. I don't know what I can and cannot say. And they will blatantly tell you, like, the things we have to report is A, B, and C. And,
of course.
And anything in between that is totally fair game. And we'll let you know. You can even say, can you please let me know if it seems like we're going to one of those directions? And as long as you know your left and right limits, and if you feel like you want to have a little bit more flexibility, that's what I did. So I went off post, and then the left and right limits, they're still going to do their job and make sure you're safe and everyone else is around you safe. But you have way more like flexibility to where you can really have a bad day and say probably, the worst things in your mind, and they're not rushing to base to tell, like, you just got to build that relationship with that person, and they will take care of you.
Yeah, and especially if you're a leader, and this is my last point to that, especially if you're a leader, like it also sends out a message like, hey, I'm going to seek some help. Something's wrong with me. It sends a message to your lower enlisted soldiers. Like, I'm just from the era where you don't even go to sick call, right? Like, that was a bad thing back then. Like, you're sick call ranger or whatever.
Cadence is making fun of the profile PT.
Yeah, exactly. And we've gotten a lot better. So it's great to hear that. And that, I'm sure that'll help somebody out who's specifically active duty right now, is like, I'm a little worried to go get some help because I'm not going to get promoted or they're going to take me out of position. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear, man. It makes me happy.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that, Anthony, because I did a book of Earl a few shows ago. It said it's easier done than said. And I say that to the people who are listening that are those warriors, that are those people that love to go do things, expand their horizons, like try hard things, right? Because you probably at one point said it, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
right? And then once you say it, then you go do it. And the doing part was easy. Whether or not you get it successfully is not necessarily easy, but you went and you tried it, right? And going on Dave's point, it's like, say that you have a problem. All right, say that you have a demon. And then, like you said, it's okay. Find that circle that gets you out of it. Find those people that can help you. It doesn't mean you have to alienate all your friends for that moment. Maybe for that moment you do alienate some of them because they're not the ones that are going to help you, right? But that doesn't mean you hate them. And so I really appreciate you sharing that. And I talked to Ben Owen when I was feeling down. I go, do you ever get shit, man? Like, what else am I supposed to do? And he's like, it takes that person in your circle. This is what he said. It takes that person in your circle to sit you down and say, slow down.
Yeah. And a lot of people think isolation is like the answer. A lot of people go, I just need to, I just need to go be alone for a little bit. And that could be dangerous too. So if you're one of those people that maybe just needs to be away from chaos, I wouldn't say replace that with isolation either. I think it's just, find, you got to find this happy medium and you just got to find someone you respect, someone that's doing something that you admire. And I think usually you'll find that those type of mentorships are going to be the person that can at least help get you in an environment that works better for you.
Right. And again, who are we always rude to? We're usually rude to the people that care about us the most, right? Why? Because we know they'll forgive us, right? Like we know we can. And it's like I said, I got triggered by your, I felt like a hypocrite. No, you weren't a hypocrite. You were a human being. Everybody knows that I like to throw a bourbon back once in a while. It happens, right? I love to smash some bourbon. But if I'm telling you you're drinking too much right now, if I'm telling you that you're smoking too much weed right now because you're a freaking, you're like, I like a little bit of the THC too. Now that I'm retired, I actually got it when I was active, no big deal. But if I'm telling you,
no, he's serious. He had a prescription.
I was prescribed THC active, but anyway, if I'm like, hey,
pill format. Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't take another hit, homie. Right? Oh, you're a hypocrite. You smoke weed. No, I'm just
moderation.
I'm just letting you know that right now you're about to go stand in that corner for 3 hours, and I want to the night's over after this hit, bro. So just kind of knock it out of your hand. Stop it. Right. So those of you watching out there, don't be afraid to be your brother's keeper because you make mistakes. Right. You're not a hypocrite for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I say also, if you heard something so I'm on one side of the coin, but if anyone else listening to this isn't able to relate to me, but they can relate to maybe seeing me look for someone like me in your life as a mentor, maybe that's what you can do proactively is identify people like me in your circle that might be the life of the party or whatever the case may be, but you could be a mentor as well. So this could be for people struggling, but it also could be for people who have a lot of people looking up to them and you have a little bit more power in that sense.
Right. And Buddy talks about that. He's like, your validation comes later. If you're a good person and you don't feel like you're a good person because nobody's really you're not feeling that pat on the back. And he's like, if you're still doing the right thing, just give it a few years. That validation will come. Someone's going to call you and be like, hey, man, I need your opinion on something. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that, hey, what do you think about this? And you're like, oh, damn, okay. That validation comes because they're finding you. And that's what I was kind of saying earlier. Be that person that you don't know when it's going to come, but be that person that somebody will reach out to and say, hey, can you help me with this? Right? Yeah. But no, hey, thanks for coming back on.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal what you're doing, what you've taken on. And so let us try to help you. Again, whatever you have for advertising, send it to me. You have me on Facebook, my personal page too. Send it to me. We'll advertise it for you. We'll try to get the word out as much as we can. But yeah, this is such a cool thing. I remember when we talked about it the first time, and I'm so glad I started seeing it on Facebook again because they're going to put
I hadn't seen anything either, man. You were always coming across my feed with your dog and everything.
Because Buddy always says this, and he's not here, but the universe speaks to you. And if you're not seeing somebody or hearing from somebody you usually hear from, reach out to them, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, we screwed that up, but I think it was, it's coming through again. Let us help you. Give us a chance to help you. Don't be afraid to reach out to us for help. Hey, do you know anybody in this state? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. We'll put it to our, our community. Maybe they do.
I'll put together like an information email of those, an explanation of what all three things are I'm looking for.